sure if your plant gets enough light, then the answer is always the same. If there is a problem, there is always a sign. And maybe if you take a closer look to your plant, you will find some hints here and there that will guide you to the right answer. And because I'm cultivating the inner planty teacher in me, I'll be teaching you some of the most common signs that you need to look for. He insisted on being with us for the first tip, which is when a plant is searching for light, it will try to grow its stems till it kind of reaches the light that it needs. Now, this asparagus here doesn't really have a light problem because I have it directly in front of the window, so you can see that the new stems are kind of close. If it was searching for this light, it would create a much bigger space between the stems. Another great example of this sign is actually succulents. They are the perfect example for this. Succulents typically need a lot of light in order to stay small and short, and as you can see, this one hasn't been getting the light that it needs, so it tries to create more and more space in search of this light that it will not get because we are going to reset it. Oopsie, a propagation here. The second sign is not as common as the first one, and there is a reason behind it. It is when the plant is kind of losing its color, it's not that vibrant, or if you have a plant with variegation, you might see that it is kind of faded. The problem is that most of the times when we buy a plant or maybe don't observe it that well and we don't give it enough light, we won't be able to spot that difference right away because we are not used to seeing the plant in the final thriving and growing form. So if you are used to seeing a marble queen pothos, for example, being light green and green, you won't ever imagine, except if you see it on the internet, that the marble queen pothos could be white and green. The third sign, which actually might be the most dramatic and frustrating one, is something that happens mostly to plants like ficus, fiddle figs, bonsais, saffleras, and every tree-like type of plant when it's growing indoors, and it is when the plant is dropping its lower leaves or maybe all the leaves. Fiddle figs are the master on this because there is not enough light. So if you see that the plant is really rapidly losing its leaves, then it might actually be a good idea to take it a little closer to the light and see if that fixes the problem. I remember once that I had a bonsai that I really loved a lot and I wanted to get it indoors, and at that time I didn't have any grow lights or big windows and everything, so it started losing its leaves really rapidly. In a matter of days it was actually bald, and then I thought that it died and moved it back to the back of the garden in a corner, but that corner obviously had more light than my room, so the leaves grew back once again, and it's full last thriving and happy right now. So important sign, really easy to spot if the plant gets bad. It might be the lighting. Another not so obvious sign for someone that is not monitoring the plants every passing day, but really obvious for someone that really checks on them every passing minute, is if the plant has stunt growth. For example, this little one obviously has not any stunt growth. This leaf was less than a quarter the last week, and right now it is growing out of the pot really confidently, I would say. So this is something that you should look for, but it is not that obvious if you just check the plant once and let it be. You should know the previous state of the plant and how fast is that growth that it is getting. Need a little time to figure out, but it can be a sign of a lighting problem. The next one is only applicable to a certain type of houseplants, and it is the blooming, the flowering plants, like this Hoya here, or maybe some begonias if you are kind of growing them indoors. Well, if they are not getting enough light, that means that they will struggle to create their flowers. Maybe they will create less flowers, if none at all. They will make the flowers, the blooms, smaller, and you will sure notice it in time because you are a well-trained plant parent. The last sign that I want to tell you about is something that you can really easily spot right away. So if you have a plant that it is not getting enough light, a normal plant, not something with psychological problems like this one, well, it will try to twist and turn its leaves till it finds the light source, like this thing is doing right here. This can happen mostly to plants like philodendrons, like monsteras. They are kind of crazy about it. You can see monsteras growing and twisting all the way around, creating really weird shapes in order to find that light that they will never find, but at least they try.